Well, good afternoon. Today we're going to be again in Matthew chapter 11. Today we're going to be taking on verse 29. Verse 28 is what we covered yesterday, where Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Jesus essentially says that he will trade your weariness and your burdens, and he will give you rest instead. He will help you carry those things. So we can ask God for help, and God will help us carry our burdens. He follows that up with this word, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." When he talks about the yoke, that's the yoke that oxen were harnessed to in order to keep the team straight. It was a piece that went across the shoulders of one ox and another ox side by side, and it would help steer them, right? So Jesus is essentially saying, make this the guiding principle, the thing that steers you in your life. Take my guiding principle. And Jesus says his guiding principle is this. This is what we can learn from him. I am gentle and humble in heart. Really, both of those words are humility, are humble. And so he says, be humble and be humble. The first humble, the word that's translated gentle, is the idea of our self-importance, right? What we think of ourselves. Jesus says we need to have a clear perspective of who we are. He's not saying that we're not special or that we're not worth anything. The Bible talks about us being God's special creation as human beings. But what he is saying is that we need to look at ourselves from a realistic standpoint, that we are one piece in a much bigger picture. We're one cog amongst all the other people in the world. We're one person. And so we shouldn't think of ourselves more highly than we ought. The second humble is not our perspective of ourselves, but someone from the outside, the social perspective of who we are. Jesus says we need to act. We not only need to think of ourselves as humble, but we need to act humble. We need to have humility in our lives. We need to recognize that God is God and we are not. And when you recognize that God is God and we are not, he says you will find rest for your soul. Whenever you come to God and you say, "God, I can't do this on my own," that's when we find rest, because God's word says that he will help us. He will help us carry our burdens. That's why he says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." I'll give you rest. And then live your life with this steering principle, with this guiding principle. Take my yoke upon you. Learn from me. I am humble in my opinion of myself, and I am humble in how I act out in the world. And when you recognize that God is God and you are not, and he can help you and he can save you, then you truly will find rest for your soul. I hope this encourages you. God bless you.